Today we're going to learn a little about writing scenes, setting detail, and how to tell scene from summary. First of all, it's important to understand that all good literature has a careful balance of scene and summary. Both have their place. For example, if you had all summary all the time, that would be one really boring book to read. Summary is a quick recap of past events, so there would never be any action taking place, and there would never be any dialogue, which is when two characters talk back and forth. Can you imagine?
Red went into battle. He fought against the enemy. At one point, he almost died. He didn't. Eventually, the war ended and Red came back home.
On the other hand, a book that's all scene all the time would get real old real fast too. The scene is the action of the book. It's when the character or characters are actively doing something. So if a book was only scene, you would probably get a lot of really unimportant information.
Stacy sat down at the table, a plate of steaming bacon and scrambled eggs sitting in front of her. Stacy picked up her fork in her hand and stabbed a piece of egg. She brought the piece to her mouth. She chewed the eggs until they were small chunks, then swallowed. Then she stabbed her fork into a second piece of egg. She chewed this bite until it was in a small chunk as well, then swallowed her second bite. Then she stabbed her third piece of eggs.
Yeah, let's stop it there. As you can see, both are really important for literature. You want to summarize over long periods of time, and you want to play out the scenes with a lot of action. We're going to learn a lot more about how to write a summary later on, but for now, I mostly just want you to understand how to tell it apart from theme and scene. So let's talk a bit more about writing scene. Here are the three most important parts about writing a scene that I want you to remember. The first tip is what I just demonstrated. If the scene has little action happening over a long period of time, it may be time to summarize some moments of your story. Make sure your short story has a balance of summary and scene taking place. In that last example, we would probably summarize or entirely skip Stacy's breakfast, since nothing interesting or important is happening. Second, while dialogue can be really important and necessary to a scene, you don't want to overload your short story with dialogue. Skip over unnecessary lines of dialogue. One trick you can use when deciding whether to include a line of dialogue is ask yourself, is this line of dialogue important to understand the overall plot of the story? Is it important to better understand the characters? If not, that line of dialogue may not be important. Finally, all great scenes include setting detail. Setting detail is the environment in which a story or event takes place. Anytime your character enters a new setting in your short story, you want to paint a picture of this new place for your reader. Setting detail makes a huge difference. Let me show you. Take the following sentence as an example. The girl walked into the room. Now, let's add some setting detail. The girl walked into a wide, expansive room that was adorned with columns that stretched to the ceiling, an ornamental golden framed window, and a luscious potted tree with crisp green leaves. Wow, now you can actually imagine the room the girl has walked into. Let's try again. The girl walked into a slender and seemingly abandoned brick room that was nearly empty, save for one rickety wooden rocking chair in the corner of the room and a strange, eerie doll perched quietly on the rocking chair. Setting detail seriously impacts the overall tone or mood of your story. So, to summarize, there are 3 points to remember for this upcoming week. Scenes break down the action in detail, while summaries give the main points that occurred over an extended period of time. Scenes don't necessarily need to be dominated by characters speaking to each other, and setting detail is important to enrich scenes. We will be putting these ideas into practice this week, so get ready, and thanks for watching.